All right. What is going on, everyone? This is Brian Trouchold. I am one of the co-founders of Ambition, and I'm joined today by Wesley Baker. Wesley, how you doing, man?
What's up, Brian? Appreciate you inviting me to the podcast.
It's awesome to reconnect, and I'm super glad we got circled back to each other on email, and you're willing to come in and kind of talk shop with me.
Of course, yeah. Prior Ambition customer once upon a time. Absolutely love the platform. Love what you guys are doing over there. And always happy to talk shop with like-minded individuals.
Well, I love it because I love talking to folks who are in it and who have like been building teams. I mean, man, since we've worked together and partnered together years ago, you have been doing that all kinds of multiple times, multiple different
Yep.
places, multiple different worlds. And so I want to dive right in. You have led, you have built, you have scaled SDR, XDR,
Mhm.
BDR, all the DR teams. Um, maybe hit me with one of your kind of one of the things you look for when you're out there building talent, hiring talent,
Mhm.
developing folks. Maybe something that most people are not putting as like the stereotypical signal that someone's going to be a really high potential or great SDR.
Sure. Yeah. So, yeah, this is my fifth SDR leader spot. So I've got a decade of experience now, and it is ever changing. And I think right now, of course, everyone's riding the AI wave and trying to figure out what does that mean, especially in the SDR world. And you're seeing all the buzzwords with AI SDR and people trying to figure out what that exactly entails. And I have changed my hiring calculus to pitch people on this vision of the future, right? I'm of the belief at some point inbound may get mostly automated through AI. So I need somebody that can be decent on the outbound side and do a little bit of hunting and digging and um, do the stuff that AI cannot do. And then also, I'm hiring for reps that I almost call like the AI hacker mentality. Like they're staying above the trends, they're willing to try out new tools, they're becoming prompting wizards, and they're using AI to their advantage in order to get the edge. And I'm starting to pitch this in my interviews for hiring top SDR and BDR candidates that I wasn't necessarily doing a couple of years ago.
That's kind of interesting. I mean, that makes so much sense to me. But like, I'll say this back to you, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Mhm.
I may be totally off, but like, I feel like in years past, and a very, very broad generalization here of the BDR SDR world was like, I want people who can come in, they can play a role, they fit in, they run this playbook, and they don't really deviate. And like, what
Mhm.
I'm hearing from that, or how I interpret what you just said, is you're looking for the folks who are they're kind of like willing to get in a little trouble. They're kind of willing to like experiment and build and come up with it. Is that like the correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody that can roll with the punches, realize that this wave and this change is happening rapidly. So somebody that's kind of rigid in their ways or not willing to try something new and different is definitely something I'm leaving out. And just as an example, like we're even experimenting with, we have an AI receptionist bot. We're experimenting with hot transferring to the bot to do the closing side of the business. So we're trying some
Interesting.
unique and crazy tactics just to see like if this can potentially work. And yeah, I need SDRs that can gravitate towards that vision of the future and are willing to try these new tactics that have never been explored before.
I mean, that's super interesting, especially as a people leader and developer, having that kind of I don't know, the mad scientist experimentation of like, cool, we're going to do a bunch of the legwork. We're going to flip the script and we're going to do a bunch of the legwork, and then we're going to hand it off to the system to do the next step. I mean, on that end, like there are so many, we are inundated. At least I feel like I'm inundated with new trends, new tactics, the new cool flashy thing on LinkedIn and X
Right.
especially. Like, what are you thinking that's like, what are you seeing that you're like, this is totally overrated? Or you're kind of thinking is like, where you're bucking the trend maybe?
Yeah. No, I mean, I ask this question to myself all the time, and it is very confusing. And you see the hype on LinkedIn, and it's hard to weave out what's true and what's not. I have a lot of friends that are thought leaders in the space. Sam Nelson's one of them. He runs
Yeah.
SDRleader.com. He meets SDR leaders all over the country, and I ask him on a regular basis, like, what's actually moving the needle on AI? Because like it seems like it's all bullshit. He'll even say like a lot of it is bullshit, like 99% of it is. And I don't think anyone's really cracked the code on like what's the next sales engagement platform that has all the AI bells and whistles and works out of the box, right? It's very unique to each company, but disruption is happening and you got to keep experimenting with it, right? And seeing what works. So I don't think there's the AI SDR tool out there that's fully automated, doing it all on its own. Like people that say that they're generating meetings, like it's really just like an email bot. And I had that with, I'm gonna keep, you started this and said don't name drop tools, but I'm gonna keep name dropping tools. Converska back in the day before AI turned online, I was using that as an email bot. So this isn't anything new, right? So you got the
Right.
email AI bots kind of working, but nothing's doing voice really well yet. And it's still a clunky user experience. And there's a big pushback from prospects not wanting to talk to AI. Like I'm hearing that all the time. And we say it, we sell an AI product, right? I'm hearing that all the time from the calls I listen to where there's a lot of just pushback saying like, I'm not going to speak to AI. Like I don't want to talk to your AI thing. So yeah, I don't really have a good answer there. I think you got to, that's what I'm saying. You got to be nimble. You got to keep trying things. And that's why I think SDR is a great test bed for
Yeah.
these tools because we're the front lines, right? We're in the trenches. But I don't have that silver bullet either. Like I'm experimenting and doing new things. And really the only AI agents that I have working really well for me right now are for the reporting side of the business. Like I'm automating more and more of my reporting to be agent based and read my data in Salesforce so I can focus doing what I love doing, which is listening to reps calls and giving them actual coaching and getting in the trenches with them.
That's actually really refreshing to hear because we've had this conversation internally, and I will stick by my guidance to like not name names, but yeah, you see like a lot of people, and I say people specifically because the humans are in some cases I think turning off the part that as humans we're really good at. Like especially a lot of folks who have been leaders, managers, directors of people. A lot of the reason they got there is because they're dynamic and they have high EQ and they're really good at like connecting with
Mhm.
that person and figuring out like how to improve their performance or how to make them better. And like yeah, we've seen this kind of, I don't know, maybe predictable, but I think a little bit scary concerning trend of like those people are trying to shut down that part and they're trying to become like the data lord. And it's like the AI thing's like really good at the data. It's like give
Right.
the AI data,
Give it
tell
data.
it what you want to know, and then become like I don't know, the ultimate coach deliverer with all of the, all the insights. But yeah, I like what you said there and how you're at least, you know, going through that today. Maybe a couple more as we get into like what you see, and I'll ask about what you would tell yourself in the past also. But like
Mhm.
when you brainstorm, we started to do this thing in our leadership meetings here at Ambition of like what I think is true of the future and like what I think is true of the future. I don't know, 12 months from now, 24 months. You're still building teams. You're still bringing people on. You're searching for talented people to join.
Mhm.
You know, what's something that you see out in the future 12 months from now where you're like, here's the type of team or the type of, even the like their mental framework that they need to be thinking about of how the world's going to work.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. I kind of alluded to it earlier, but I definitely I'm a believer that, especially when it comes to like sales development, that inbound will be automated. I think that if you submit a form or go online, you want to buy software, you're ready to talk to whatever it is in order to get that demo or to get that trial going. And I don't think it matters if it's a human. And I actually was going back and forth Sam Nelson from SDR Leader
Mhm.
on this as well. And he had a line that really resonated with me. He was saying that speed of lead matters more than the human touch. I was like, oh shit, that's a powerful line. So I definitely think like, hey, if your speed of lead right now is 15 minutes, but now you got the AI calling right away, it has voice, it knows all of your FAQ, it has your documentation, it can qualify right away. As soon as that prospect's on your website and wants to know the information, that's going to win out over humans doing it. Now, on the flip side of that, I don't think SDR works are done, right? I'm still in this for the long term. It's going to go
Yeah,
outbound base. That's why I'm trying to focus all my team's attention on pushing on the out on the outbound envelope, and that's getting harder and harder to do because there's spam calls and there's so much noise with emails and all that. So you got to figure out how to break through the noise. But I'm hiring towards only outbound BDRs, XDRs right now because outbound robocalling is illegal, right? That's not going to go away. As you alluded to, like when an let's say it was legal and an outbound agent does make an outbound phone call, the tonality is not there, that human connection is not there. Like you can feel it when you're talking to a real
for sure.
person versus a robot, right? And I don't know, like maybe in like 20 years they can get that figured out, but I don't think so. Like it's not the same. And that's where I'm really focusing my reps time. And I think the future in 1 to 2 years out, like you asked me, like I think that's where most SDR orgs are gonna probably start pivoting towards is less reliant on inbound, more on that outbound. And when I say outbound, it could be like maybe nurturing old inbound leads that didn't convert right away. But that initial conversion, when they're ready to go, that can be automated.
Market. But like all of the B2B buying, I think is going to become consumerized. And like, you know, who's really, really good at like speed to lead and like that
Mhm.
follow up is B2, is like anything consumer. Like you interact
Mhm.
with anything on Instagram, you interact with anything on, you know, pick your place. And not only are they really good at like continuing to re-educate you, but like, you know, you fill out anything there, and the emails, the nudges, they
Mhm.
start hot and heavy, and they're really good at converting you into buying something.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I love that. All
And
right, I'll take
and
it back.
the voice AI stuff is turning online. So I think the reason why there's that friction with B2B is just because there's more complexity, right? They want to know
Yeah.
how much the software costs, how long do you have contract options, like what's included in it, right? So it's not like you're just buying something for yourself. You're buying something for the business, and there's just a lot of questions and hoops you got to jump through. But I do think like the voice AI technology can go back and forth so well now, it can answer all those questions, and the prospect will have a good customer experience out of it.
It does feel like you could end up with, like, to me, trust is at the premium, and I think that's where, like, really good SDRs, like what you're talking about, they end up being this trust ambassador for the early stage of that opportunity. And if you
Hmm.
can have the first stage of someone's buying cycle where they come inbound, they interact with, you know, an AI, a bot, or whatever, and they get like the FAQ answered, and then they
Hmm.
end up with this really good ambassador who gives them the like, you know, builds the first level of like human trust, and whether they
Hmm.
end up passing it on, or maybe it's like full cycle. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to me. Wesley, I wanted to ask you one more thing in the final couple minutes, and I appreciate you mentioned this before, like
Hmm.
how much the SDR BDR world has changed since you were in it 10 years ago of building teams. But like, if you were zooming back to the start of your career, because there's a lot of folks right now who are SDRs, they want to break into sales with a decade of experience under your belt, and how much change we have seen, how much I think we're going to continue to see. What guidance would you give those young people who are getting into it at the ground level today?
Yeah. This is probably a pretty common one, but I really do believe it helped me a lot. Is find your mentors, right? Early in my career, this is actually my first gig out of college. I was an account executive, but super junior account executive, punching way above my weight. And my mentor was the account executive beside me that actually was closing deals, right? He taught me everything I know about, outbound prospecting to Salesforce management to pipeline hygiene. And I failed in that role miserably after a year. I tried my hardest and just couldn't make it happen. Basically, I was selling Salesforce implementation services to Salesforce AEs and just begging them to get coffee with me. And it was an offshore team in India that would do the implementation. So it was just like really like
Hard
trying to
sell.
swindle them a little bit. Yeah, hard sell. Hard sell over coffee. But I ground my teeth in it. I learned a lot. I failed, but my mentor at the time is still my mentor today. He like just finding those good mentors that you trust, that believe in you, right? That gives you advice of what they made in their career, so they can develop you in a little bit quicker path. Tremendous unlock, and it's easier said than done, like, right? So it needs to happen somewhat naturally and organically. Now I got people in my network, like I mentioned Sam a couple times already, but like Sam, I can go and text him anytime I want if there's an issue or have an ask for him, and he'll ring or he'll answer the call. And yeah, just finding those people that you can trust, that trust in you, that are professionals goes a long way. That, and I think what also has been good, I've decided to focus on SDR now. A lot of people grow out of the SDR world, but I've decided to remain focused on it. And for me, it's a passion project where the people that I've developed early in my career are now way more successful than I am. They're enterprise account executives, they're enterprise CSMs at prestigious companies making a ton of money. And that's just been so rewarding and awesome to see. So just finding that path that you're passionate about is super important in life in general, and it's super rewarding for me. It's not necessarily for everybody, right? SDR management forever. So a lot of people want to get into maybe doing full sales cycle or AE management, which is makes there's a lot of value there too. But yeah, finding what you're passionate about and then finding mentors has been a big one.
I was thinking about winning a deal. I was not thinking about like building great relationships, you know, when I first
Mhm.
was in it. And like how many of those people I still see like 15 years, 20 years later,
Yeah.
like the relationships actually matter a lot. The world is smaller than you think. And I think, go ahead.
I was just saying, so some of those original SDRs, they were in my wedding.
Yeah,
They still come over. They have kids now. They come over. I have kids, and our kids play together. Tremendous, but and I take no credit from their success. They're successful people because they hustled hard back in the day, right? And I was just a little piece of their journey. Yeah, I don't know if it's
I
advice
love
for your
that.
younger, but just realizing that that's what you're building towards now is cool.
I think that's key, man. I think that's really key. Well, Wesley, this was awesome. That's fantastic. And I think people can take this right now and learn a lot and actually apply a lot of this. So thank you so much for spending time with us. Where can people find you?
LinkedIn's probably my best bet. I think my LinkedIn's
Perfect.
Wesley Patrick Baker. So if you find me on LinkedIn, feel free to give me an ad and shout, and I'll go back and forth with you.
Amazing, man. Well, thanks, everyone. Another sales operator series in the books. Wesley, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian.